Agenda item number 4, approval of consent agenda, council minutes of September 6, 2023, and bills received. Is there any discussion on that item? Nothing? Okay, I need a motion.
I move to approve the consent agenda, council minutes of September 6th and bills received.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Passes 5-0. Resident comments. Is there anybody in the audience that wants to make comments other than on agenda items? Items on the agenda. Okay. Agenda item number 6, annual library report. Christie.
Here I am again, another year has passed. Right to the next one. Already. Today was a fun day at the library. We hosted a tea. Judy was there. We had 37 people there. We had Kathy Wilson speak, and we learned a lot about the history of gardens and English gardens and how they've changed over the years. Right, it was a lot of fun. Nice group of all ladies. Things at the library are going well. We have all our in-person activities going on, story time, Friday fun, book club, and activities will be starting for some of the afternoons for school-age kids. Our summer program went really well. I think we all know we're very happy to be back to the pre-COVID activities of having everyone come in. The library, we are very pleased with how our courtyard has come together. I'm sure you've all seen our new signage and our statues. And then the latest being our new bench with the solar panels and the ability to charge devices. That was kind of fun. We got that in right before Ride Drive, which I know for myself, that was a fun day. It was great to have all those riders come through and be able to participate in that and show off the library. It seems like the writers stop in at the places that they are familiar with. So we had a lot of library users stop in at the library. So it was fun to hear stories. We were open for 290 days. We had patron visits of 8,408, which is an average of 29 people coming through our doors in a day. Our circulation was 10,616, and that was for materials that would be a hard copy. We keep seeing the usage for our digital go up. Our ebooks, we had a circulation of 1,149, and our audiobooks was 1,641. So when you combine all of that, it's just been a continuous trend of seeing the digital, which is not really a surprise, but fun to see. Let's see, we continue to have a lot of people coming into the library to print documents to either from our computers, sending a lot of faxes. The new latest thing that we see is people coming in wanting to print off of their phones, because a lot of people come in and want, but if they have something in their email, they can't remember their password, because I know I'm that person that has my computer save it. So we have a lot of people that can't access their stuff. So it's been a learning curve of helping people to print off of their phones, because as we know, each device is a little bit different. So it's always a fun thing when we succeed with that. A year ago, I don't know how long ago it was. I'm trying to remember. Well, when we separated from Kirkwood and we had to set up different internet providers, and we worked with John, I think was his name, that helped us to do all of our rerouting. And so we now have we have 2 internet connections. One is not password protected. That's for all the people that you see sitting outside of our library. And then in order to print, you have to use our secure passworded internet connection. So that helps us so people aren't just printing without us knowing about it. So that's been one of our biggest changes lately. As you know, you've just approved Tyler Gallagher to come on our library board, so that puts us at 9. Our current members are Dan Blanchard, Steve Mangler, Mary Ann Colmorgan, Cindy Weldon, Nelsie Beck, Jenny Kruger, Missy Kriegel, and Morgan Mitchell. We do strive to keep a gender balance. Right now, I'm sure you could tell we're a little heavy on the female side, but when Tyler wanted to be on our board, that was exciting because, first of all, she wanted to, her whole family are library users. And it's also nice to be trying to look for the balance in ages, because if you notice, we're a little lopsided in that area too. So she will come to her first meeting next week. Bonnie Primley is going to be leading our staff. So we've just completed doing some interviews. We have someone we're going to be contacting about starting. It was pleasing to see how many people applied. It's just a very, very part-time position, and we had several people apply for it. So that's exciting to me to know that that's a job a lot of people want. And we've also, when I was talking about what we've done with our courtyard, we also have upgraded and got 4 new air conditioning units. We had replaced our furnaces the year prior, and now we've upgraded our air conditioning units. So building should be pretty good, just the usual maintenance. The building is like 35 years old now, so as you know, there's always something that needs done. Also completed all of the requirements for our accreditation, which is a lot of going over policies and making sure everything's accredited with the state, and we do get money from the state for that. And that's basically what we've had going on. I do appreciate the support that I get from the council, all the city employees. Again, I go to meetings and I hear of the challenges that so many communities have with their group of council people, their mayor, their city clerks, and I am very, very grateful that I've never run into any of those roadblocks. I just get support, so I thank you. If anybody has questions, so run away.
Questions?
Thank you.
Okay.
Great job, thank you.
Agenda item number 7, CDC report. That would be Casey.
Yes, hello. First off, our director, Ashley Brown, has decided to step away from her position. We are, as a board, we're very grateful for the 3rd of July that she took on as a lead, and even bigger, the RAGBRAI, she pretty much took on her shoulders altogether. As a board, we were pleased to work with her, and we wish her the best. Secondly, MSI. MSI has been probably a huge discussion within our board and even past boards in the last few years. I know as a board, we've come to you a few different times on what does our future look like with MSI. We thank you guys for always in the past letting us know that whatever our decision was, you're here to support us in that decision. So thank you. So at this time, we have decided to step away from MSI, Main Street, Iowa. So we have put together and I believe submitted the formal letter of stepping aside and exiting MSI. Going forward, it's a recent decision for us. But as a board, we've put many hours in and are all, I think, pretty much on board of what is this going to look like for us, and we're willing to put in the time. And as far as community, I don't see a huge community to see a difference in our group right now. I think our role in the community will pretty much stay the same as it has. Our events at this point are staying pretty close to what they have. We're going to provide multiple events throughout the year as we have in the past. We're really digging deep into what doors is it actually going to open for us with time and potentially finances and just our focus in general. It may open a lot of doors, and I think that's where we're at right now is what doors can we open, what things can we do with the community with that being set aside at this point. I don't know if you guys have questions on that. That might be good. Questions on
I think
in
there
general?
was that was a long time coming and questioning what was
Yeah.
the value of being in that group. They kind of
Correct.
made it sound like, a small town just didn't fit their mode and what they wanted. It was really kind of strange because I thought that was the whole reason to have Main Street, Iowa. And it seemed like, they were the demands they were making.
Yep.
An average small town
Yep.
wasn't going to meet that. So I applaud you guys for just making the decision and plugging through and
Yeah.
keep doing the good things you guys are doing, so.
And I don't know if you know what, some of what he's, addressing is Main Street Iowa is no longer gonna be Main Street Iowa. They are actually going to Main Street America. And that was a big part of our decision. So they're now they really are focusing on a little bit bigger communities and what their requirements are than what we are at this point. So that was a big push in our decision as well, so.
But I think you learned a lot, and we kind of saw
Absolutely.
some of the things as far as organization. You can take all that and apply it as
Yes.
you need it, so
Yep.
that's
And there's
good.
been many discussions with MSI staff has been wonderful all through the beginning. So there's been a lot of conference calls with them, especially in the last year or so. And they have given us lists, and I know we've provided a list to, I think, most of you guys in the past of a lot of the stuff they offered is still available to us. So that was great to hear. And they were very good about helping us along those lines. So, yes. The last one is our trunk or treat is coming up. Trunk or treat, and then we also assist with the school when they bring the kids down at noon. So those kind of go together a little bit. So that's up in our planning, and I think it might be the next agenda. But we are asking for closure of those blocks, which would start at the 8th where Nettie Ann's is.
The 800 block.
The 800
Yeah.
block. Usually it's just that block. If we, for some reason, have a bigger year than most, we would extend into like the library and museum block.
Sure.
But that's all I have. Any questions?
Looking forward to the trunk or treat.
Okay.
That's always fun.
Mhm.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Agenda item number 8, following on to Casey's last comments.
Mhm.
Discuss for possible approval the closing of Main Street, 12th Street from 2 PM to 5 PM on Sunday, October 29th for annual trunk or treat celebration.
We would need to change that so it does not indicate it's the whole 12th Street. It's just the
Yeah.
800 block. or
800.
East block, 800 block.
Do you want in part of 900 block as needed?
I
That
would
would-
just put it in there, that way if they need it, they've got it.
Try it. If it doesn't work, then change it again, right?
Is there a motion?
I'll move to approve the closing of Main Street, the 800 and 900 block from 2 PM to 5 PM on Sunday, the 29th for trunk or treat celebration.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. Agenda item number 9, discuss for approval the day and time for our annual trick or treat hours in the city of Belle Plaine, 5 PM to 8 PM. So we kind of looked back at this, and I think historically we've gone with the traditional October 31st.
That's what you voted on last year.
And that's a Tuesday. correct?
Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, is there any discussion on that or desire to deviate from? And the time seems to be amenable, 5 PM to 8 PM is what we've done in the past.
That works.
Okay, I guess I need a motion then.
I make a motion to approve the day and time for trick or treat at 5 to 8 on Tuesday, October 31st.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. Okay, agenda item number 10, update on Robert Brown Properties regarding nuisance notices received for 205 11th Street and 204 10th Street. Possible motion for action to be taken, if any. Now, you guys have showed up tonight and we've got a number of items to look at that we haven't seen until this evening. There's a summary sheet and various photos. And Chief Hudson, would you like to?
Sure, yeah, I met with Bob today and his residents. We took a look at both properties. I took some photographs. That's what you have in front of you. Let's see, he's got the issues that he is aware of. He's got one pickup truck that is currently licensed, but it doesn't run, and he can elaborate on why. And then also a 1985 Chevy Scottsdale that is licensed and does not run at this time. That's 205 11th Street, and then the 10th Street property. Just my notations there. The vehicles that are there are licensed and run. Trailer that's there is licensed. Other items that are there, that's up to you guys to decide if that's an issue.
The tires and
Yeah.
And obviously the weeds have been all taken care of.
Yeah.
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 Looks good.
I told him it looks a lot better than what it is.
Yeah.
What you doing with the tires, Robert? Are they junk tires or are they for your business or
The ones out front,
the ones that are like stored underneath?
those get used when we go on a job where you got a sidewalk or a driveway that you gotta cross, and we use them to keep from tearing up driveways and that. And I keep them underneath there to keep them in the dry so they don't hold water and
Attracts some mosquitoes and everything else. Yeah.
right. I never had an issue with water getting in. Most of them got holes in them anyways. And that's what they've always been used for, because I do rent a dozer or a bigger excavator from time to time, and Grouser tracks will just tear the shit out of concrete or asphalt. And you have to have a cushion like that to drive on. So that's the only reason I keep those around. The remaining items that are still on the ground are gonna be going on the shelf. They're still on gravel now. They're gonna go on the shelves, the implements, attachments. They're going on the shelves when I get the remainder of it put up. I got the last section started putting up, but just enough cross bracing to hold the damn upright in place. There's still 3 or 4 more sets of verticals to put on for shelves. That was the whole, that's how come things were in such a disarray, because I moved everything last year and started putting these up before I got hurt. And as far as I can recall, I don't think there's ever been an issue with weeds. Weeds have been an issue this year because of it being a drought and because of the fact that I can't get out there and run any kind of weed eater. And I've sprayed a couple times already this year. And it's been sprayed again over there where the hay balers and stuff sit. That's turning yellow. It got sprayed again earlier in the day of the rain. That was what, 2 days ago, Monday? It got sprayed again Monday. Just, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, maybe. It was raining fast by the time we got the rain, so hopefully it'll work on it faster.
Robert, the large, it looks like a storage building next to where you have your shelving. This is your property, this is your building.
Yeah, that's a trailer, semi-trailer.
Oh, okay. Is that used for storage also?
Yeah, it's got a lot of equipment and stuff in it for the business.
Okay. Is there any room in there to move this out so it isn't all visible? What you've got on your shelf? Could it possibly be stored in a trailer? What's all out here?
The equipment,
Yeah, all this stuff that's on the shelves.
that's the reason for the shelving, is put the attachments up. Every business in town that has attachments for their skid loaders, they're outside.
Well, no, I was just wondering if there would be a chance that you could store it inside the trailer so they wouldn't be visible.
It's commercial property. That was the whole point of me buying a commercial lot. It's not private property. That's what I'm not understanding, why I'm being asked to put this stuff inside. No other business in town keeps all their equipment inside. Every other commercial property has their equipment sitting outside.
Were you afforded the documentation of the ordinances and everything?
Nobody's giving me nothing.
Gage said I'm sorry, I did talk to Gage today when he realized he wasn't gonna make it. He said initially he thought Robert was coming in to get it, and it was obviously just confused, he didn't understand that, so they mailed it last week.
Okay, haven't got nothing yet. This is where I'm not understanding the confusion, because every other business in town, Hupfeld's, Friedman's, Garland's, their machinery's outside. Hamilton's, they got attachments for their skid loaders sitting outside. Every business that has attachments like that for their equipment sits outside. And that's what I'm not understanding. How come I'm being asked to put my stuff inside and everybody else can have it outside? I've not seen anything in an ordinance that says that your equipment on your commercial property has to be indoors.
Well, I think it's kind of been a combination of the disarray there and the weeds.
Well, the
and
reason
so
it got
forth.
in a disarray was me getting laid up. I had the stuff moved
Yeah.
moved
we
around last
understand
year
that.
so I could put my shelving up, and then I got hurt, and
Right,
I'm just getting on my feet.
right, we understand that.
Well, I think, Robert, what Judy was talking about though, is I think the court order said that it had to be stored inside. I'm trying to find that right now.
When there's no sense in the shelving. And what's the difference in, I mean, there's no way I'm gonna get them hay balers in a semi-trailer. And what's the difference in the hay balers or the hay mowers compared to a grapple bucket for a skid loader? It's all equipment. It's all on commercial property, just like every other business in town. So why am I being singled out as a business that has to put his machinery inside and everybody else's business can go outside?
I think that it stems from what Councilperson Peck stated, is it's from the disarray, and then you ended up going to court, and that's what the court ordered. I think that it's not that you're being singled out, it's that there was a combination of things that transpired into this situation, and that's what we're trying to follow up on.
Originally, when the court order was made, there was a hay baler that was sitting outside. That was it for machinery. And it was on concrete, or not concrete, on gravel most of the time. It would get moved over on the grass once in a while for something, but it was always mowed around and under. And it was part of the business. And it was when I got laid up the first time around with my back that I was told that, and taken to court. And I'm told that I have to get rid of my machinery that pertains to my business.
I think we covered that last time, and nobody says you have to get rid of your equipment.
No, that's what the 5 years ago, the judge made that order that I couldn't have a nuisance. So how is it a nuisance?
That would be a question for the judge then, if he asked that or stated that.
So are there things here that still need to be improved upon?
I mean, I think he's made great strides, but yes, I believe that there are some things that could be continued. I mean, continuous improvement, obviously. I recall him stating that the van was gone, the silver van of his mother's, and it appears that that is back. So,
Well, it runs and everything, it's
Okay.
licensed. I even showed Hudson that it was licensed last year. You've seen the registration paper that it was licensed last year, so it wasn't that it was unlicensed. And it does run. And my mom kind of wants me to drive it a little bit to make sure the bugs are out of it, because it sat for several years after Dad passed away. She don't want it up there as her daily driver until she knows it's gonna be working good for her. And there was 2 vehicles that Chris was talking about. The one is the truck that I bought from Hamilton. It does run, it does move, but it had an issue. It would get hung up in 5th gear, and I had to replace a wire harness in the transmission, and that's all been done, but I haven't got the transmission fluid put back in it yet, because I had to mess with this crap for the last 2 weeks. So I wasn't gonna start that for him without transmission fluid in it to burn the clutches out of the transmission. And the other truck, I started working on to change head gaskets on it last year before I got laid up. And I got a couple things pulled off the motor, but it is put up by the garage, and I am currently working on it, putting it back together and it's not gonna be an overnight fix either.
That's a Scottsdale.
Yes. And it is an operable truck. It was running and starting, I could move it and drive it around until I tore the head gasket out of it last fall before I got hurt. And I just gotta get it put back together. I just haven't been able to really work on it yet. It's kind of hard to bend under hood when you can't bend.
You know, one of the things that struck me, because I did an aerial view just to kind of look down and see there are other commercial businesses that are there, and they've all got gravel, and everything is all organized and gravel. There's a lot of homes all around where you are. So I know this is commercial, but it's also residential. And I'm just, kind of thinking, and it's a small town, and as a person that's living around all these people, it's best efforts on your part to keep that neat and orderly and respect your neighbors. I know you're in business. You should have the right to, if this is a commercial property and you're following what the ordinance say, and you're on gravel and hard property, and everything is licensed, then you're following what's being said. But, without having the ordinances in front of us and knowing exactly what everything says, making sure that you're following the court order. But I think just on your part, making the best effort to keep this organized, keep the weeds down. I'm sorry that you've had, an accident and everything, but I think that's the best thing to move forward on. There's ordinances, there's rules. We could be right down the line on everything and do the court order thing. But to me, we're a small town. We all talk to each other. Just do the right thing. You know what it is. Respect your neighbors. There's people and homes around there. Just keep the things organized.
Well, it wasn't in disarray last year. It just got in disarray because of me moving stuff.
I get
around.
it, but
Been getting laid up.
we had a case that took you to court on that. So I think it's just one of those things where you just kind of have to keep on top of things like that. And I don't know what action, I don't see, as long as you're continuing to make progress, I don't see that we really are going to do anything outside of keep monitoring everything and work with you to make sure that this, but I think you need to look at the paper that you got from Gage as far as ordinances. So if there's something you don't understand or something you don't get, then we need to talk, whether or not it's talking with Steve or whether or not it's talking with Gage, so that this is cleared up.
We're talking with Chief Hudson.
Chief Hudson, yeah. Let's just make sure that we're following what the rules are. I want you to get healthy, conduct your business, do what you need to do, but also be respectful and keep everything straight.
Well, I was trying my hardest.
Okay,
I was
well,
doing as hard as I could go on everything.
Do you still have my cell phone number?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
let's just move forward and keep it going in the right direction. that fair enough?
Good points, Mitch.
Yeah. I think so.
Is that okay with you?
Yeah.
And I would say another, is I like the limo, for example, get the plates on it. So,
It gets vandalized, they tear stuff off of it.
well,
That's why I kept it inside, so it was under the glass, so that they couldn't tear it up.
it needs plated though.
It is
So,
plated.
it needs to be on where it's supposed to go. So
Okay.
they.
I showed Chief today when he was out there, all the vandalism, the big deep scratches. That makes it even harder for me to sell that thing.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
at the moment, it's been working great for me as a deterrent because, yeah, somebody could sneak around, go through the backside of it, but it's easier to walk around in a more open area in the front of it to get on my property. And my cameras point right on that. The backside of where it's at, where some of the machinery is, we can't see there. So it's been kind of working great for me as a fence because it's big. You know, it's easier for people to walk around the front of it, in which I'm just understanding and found out after he was there that we had somebody lurking through the night through the neighborhood on the neighbor's property. Nobody said anything to me. I got cameras too. I didn't know anybody was lurking around. I don't know, they might have been on my property.
Yeah.
I haven't had time to look back on my camera because I didn't find out until it was a few hours ago.
Okay. So you understand where we're coming from here?
Yeah, I've tried to keep it clean.
Okay.
I've been busting my butt this year because
Just
by the
keep,
time I would get home, there were some days that I couldn't do nothing but go sit in the chair.
yeah, we
And
understand.
there's days that I've been in the chair for 2 days. I can't get up and go do nothing. Tried to make things as easy for myself as possible to take care of. I planted what was supposed to be, what do they call it? Native crap behind my garage between me and the neighbor. And it had hollyhocks and them did come up. There's a few other things in there. It was like, they plant weeds on Main Street, but I can't plant them in my own yard and I'm getting, I planted that stuff. I scattered a handful of seeds down through there.
I think we're gonna move on here, but thank you, and hopefully we don't have to meet again next year.
I'm already working on another piece of property I'm buying to be able to expand things,
Okay,
because it's hard to turn around sometimes.
Mhm.
Things have grown and I've gotten a lot more pieces of equipment because I've grown. And I've been working on another piece of property and that'll make a big difference.
Well, good. Keep going.
Okay.
Hope you're feeling better.
thank you.
All right. See you later. Thank you.
Agenda item number 11, police report, Chief Hudson.
Okay. I should have a new officer for you to approve on October 4th. Do the swearing in, if you want, Sandy, you want to mark the count down at the end of it. His name is Logan Garwood. He's currently lives in Traer. I'll tell you a little bit more about him, or I'll let him tell you a little bit more about himself that night. I'm organizing a holiday with a cop program this year. If you remember, last few years we've been partnering kind of with Benton Police Department, and we've been going up there and helping them. And if they have leftover money, they'll entertain the idea of having some Belle-Plaine kids go up and participate and benefit from it. And I decided this year I want to do my own so that we can impact more less fortunate children in our town and immediate area. So with that, I'll work with the schools to identify those kids and depending on how much money I can get donated for that particular cause. Got Walmart in Cedar Rapids on board with doing it with us. So
Are you looking for local as well, donations?
yeah, I've been visiting businesses every day.
Okay.
I'm trying to get 3 a day. Yeah, I'm just trying to generate some funds for it. Yeah.
Okay.
And if private citizens want to contribute to, that'd be great too. So, kicking around the idea of doing a winter clothing drive here at City Hall. I have the big box. I don't know where we're gonna put it. If I do that, it'll probably be like in October. Just people want to clean their closets out and get rid of a winter coat or hats and mittens that can, be used by somebody that needs it, because I think there's a lot of people that do really need that stuff that can't afford it.
You said you're gonna do that in October?
Yeah, October, early November, something like that, or into early November. It was a Cornerstone Apothecary the other day. They asked if we would do a flu shot clinic. I told them I don't know why not. So that's October 9th from 9:30 to 11 here in the council room. So we can put that on Facebook or whatever and advertise it. Sandy said they've done that before. with-
Everybody. You'll have lollipops for everybody.
Sandy said they've done that before with really limited.
Didn't have a lot of,
Yeah.
didn't have a lot of interest.
I didn't want to tell them
Last time
no.
we did.
I mean, I'll probably get mine that day. And then next week, Tuesday and Wednesday, I'm attending a conference down in Ankeny. It's a small agency chiefs conference geared towards small departments. So I'll be gone both of those days next week. And that's all I got for you.
Maybe you could tell them it's Jello shots and then just kind of surprise them when they get here.
Any questions for Chief Hudson?
Yeah, SUV, I know you mentioned it last time, I can't remember when you said they had backed it up and,
Yeah, like October, November. but
okay. I thought so, I just couldn't remember for sure what you had
It's
said.
in Ankeny, I'm told. So, I mean, I'll be down there next week.
Yeah, you bet.
So they're just prepping it.
They told me they sold 800 SUVs last year, and they have to outfit, and they're outfitting them as well.
Mhm.
So we're just in line.
Hmm.
So whenever they get it, we get to it. So
Well, at least they got it, and
Yeah.
then if they go on strike,
and I'm, the equipment transfer from the old into the new. I got to put a new laptop in that thing because the existing one's however many years we had it. So I ordered that today with John Friel. He'll get it through Dell. But there's a few other things I'm gonna have to get new too, but it's just the way it goes.
I think there's allowance in the funding for some of that.
Mhm.
Radio console, I'm sure I have to give, and the partition is gonna be given, and like I said, that the computer that's in there is just shot. They only last, 4 or 5 years and they're done anyway, so.
Thank you, chief.
You bet.
Might not hurt if you dropped in on them and just to say, hey, well, you're in
I
Ankeny.
mean, I asked him if they could expedite it in any way. He couldn't promise me, obviously. He said we're in line, so.
No, they post stuff every once in a while, and they don't mess around. I mean, they're busy, so it's not like they're holding on to it because they want to sit on it.
Yeah,
They,
they do good work down
oh yeah,
They might be able to give you a little closer estimate of, yeah, you're 3 weeks out,
Yeah.
6 weeks out.
I'll try to stop in there next week and I'll be down that day.
Anything else? Agenda item number 12,
Thanks, Chief.
discuss for possible approval for Parks and Recreation Board to move forward with the competitive quote process for Franklin Park restroom project with Martin Gardner and to hold pre-bid meeting on Wednesday, September 27th at 6 p.m.
I have an update from the Park and Rec Board. They met at 5:30 this evening about this. And there won't be a pre-bid meeting held. Martin Gardner said, given our size and the scope of this project, they didn't feel it was necessary. If anybody that bids wants to see more details or wants to come view it in person, then they'll just meet them and come do that. But they did not need to schedule that pre-bid meeting, so it's just the actual quote package that is needing approval, right? And their park board did approve the package. So this is their recommendation.
Well, I think it's a good thing that they've, kind of picked this up and are starting to run with it, because it seemed like it had been stalled for a while, so. We need a motion to approve this, move forward.
I'll make a motion to approve for the Park and Rec Board to move forward with a competitive quote process for Franklin Park restroom project with Martin Gardner.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. Agenda item number 13, discuss for possible approval, resolution 230903, a resolution approving and hereby directing Alliant Energy, Inc. to add one light pole and remove another near the 7th Avenue and 7th Street intersection in preparation for the new Hawk system. Steve, is that you?
They were down there today, weren't they?
Yeah, I just happened to be on their schedule, so they've already performed the work. But we had to get this in.
I wasn't sure if
I
they were
didn't-
moving or not, or.
He asked if they could do it because of, and I said, I think they actually started on it on yesterday potentially. So the reason I had to move it is because that's where the power supply for the old signal system used to be. And there was what they call a luminary or a street light. So our old electrical entrance came into that pole on regular Romex, like wire you'd use in your house. And it was not up to code, and it's gonna be in the way. So the engineers said that thing really needs to be moved. So we can have some elbow room to work. And then with the hopes that once the Hawk system pedestal is in, we can put a new street light on top of that and eliminate the wooden pole. So they basically just moved the light to another down the street a little bit
Okay.
for more security down that way.
And this is just something that was convenient for them at this point in time, and
Yes, I considered whether or not we should wait, and I didn't see any problem with it. I hope the council doesn't mind that.
I'm just gonna say, what happened if we vote no?
Well, I'd have a few phone calls to make.
it doesn't have anything to do with when the Hawk system is gonna be installed. I mean, that's still down the road, right?
Correct.
This is just in preparation for it. Well, does anybody have an objection to this?
What's gonna done already?
I was told I have to behave today, so no.
Steve, is that area going to be
At work.
especially dark for the people who live right around there? Because someone did ask me today why that light was taken down. And if it's gonna be a while till something else could potentially go up, is that gonna be a concern for the residents in that area?
If anybody has a problem, I'd like them to call me and let me know if we need to have something down there. We'll just have to figure out another location for it. I think the thought process behind it was we had a non-code conforming electrical drop there with a meter socket that wasn't, I'm not gonna say it wasn't safe, but it's just not up to code anymore.
Mhm.
And the engineer recommended that we have it moved.
Thank you.
But if anybody does, we can find a new spot for one.
So we need to approve resolution 230903.
I make a motion to approve resolution 230903.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank God nobody's.
We should have had a
opposed.
3-2 vote just to kind of.
Make it embarrassing.
You're honoring.
I know it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's not, you're usually waiting for something like this to happen.
Darn right.
Not having it happen ahead of time. Agenda item number 14, discuss for possible approval, entering into a contract for the Iowa DNR wetland grant. Steve, I think that's probably you too.
Yes. So, this will help us get started, with being able to utilize these funds. When I talked to Steve Conrad, he actually is in charge of, if you notice on the email, the Western Basin. So we just happened to luck into this because of my curiosity and interest towards these things. I got directed towards him, and he likes our ideas on, you know, well, number 6 treatment plant is still priority 1, but we have ready money available for this. So I'd like to keep moving forward. Iowa State and the University of Iowa are going to be involved with helping us map out, if this is approved, the existing well field to see what the structures are like there and do some water quality tests. But we'll need to do this before we can draw down anything off the grant.
How does the water quality testing for this differ from what we've previously done?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
The water quality testing for the,
Right, under obligation task 1, develop a well and groundwater analysis process to best assess the source water supply area and well integrity.
so right now our testing comes out of our existing wells. So depending on the test, the operator will go out and run the well manually, or a series of wells. Some of them, I believe all of them have to be tested individually now. Then they have to go back to well house 1 to sample after it's chlorinated, or sample directly off the wellhead at each well location. This testing would be in areas that they want to check for water quality elsewhere. So, you know, if they find that there's a big sand pocket somewhere that would be a nice place to put a well. Some of the wells are really old and we don't know how much longer they're going to last, and so it could be beneficial for us to, you know, keep pursuing grant funding for that kind of stuff too, because shallow well water is usually pretty high quality, untreated. So that it wouldn't test production. So earlier in the year, we had a quote for a production test well for production to see how many gallons a minute can we get out of the ground. This is mostly if there's water there, what's in the water. Then we can, because we believe the trend is that the water quality will improve the farther south of E66 we get. Because that's the trend from like where well 5 was the farthest north, than 3, 2, 1, and 4. The water quality seems to improve the farther south you go. And if that's the case, we just want to see if that continues, or if it stops, then we'll know, hey, we're not going any farther south than this if we ever get the chance to drill a well.
Talk about the funding again. So it's up to 250,000.
We were awarded 250,000. And I have an invitation to apply for another grant through IDOLS that would be rolling the snowball on this one.
But we don't have to pay for things up front and get reimbursed.
No, if we do this, then we can do drawdowns on the loan.
Okay.
That's my understanding of it. I'll get clarification on that.
Gage had given us some comments, but they were just primarily observations about the duration of the agreement and some approvals may be necessary before work begins and so forth, but he didn't have any major concerns or issues. I don't know how you change something like this anyway.
Well, one of the things that's really promising is, and I appreciate the council kind of trusting me with this, because I'm consulting with the best people in the, I mean, these are the people, Iowa Department of Land and Ag and Land Stewardship, DNR. I can't stress enough. I know a lot of people think, these governmental agencies, they have nefarious purposes. These people just want to help us with our problem because I'm asking. They don't normally come to you unless they know what you're doing and what your intentions are. So when we have the opportunity for more grant funding, as we include this is my hope, and this is what I've been kind of speaking to other folks about regarding these things. When you have University of Iowa hydrogeologists involved and Iowa State geologists involved, you're getting the best information because they want the data collection. They want to just help find out how this works here, because it's, every place is different.
Well, I have to say, if Iowa was only awarded $3 million and we're getting $250,000, that's pretty good.
They liked our application.
Yeah, I was gonna
Yeah.
say, that's a pretty good.
They like our plans. And I think this, like I said, this is just going to start rolling the snowball. In having these bigger state players involved with this, I think will, I'm not looking for scope creep or anything, but we're going to follow the money and have a more secure water system when we get done.
Yeah, that's what we're all aiming to do.
Right. When, like I said,
Whether or not people believe it or not, that's kind of been on our main focus.
it
this last-
is my number one focus. So, every day, or every other day, check in with Nate on something, or, I have some more things to talk about with updates later, but well 6 treatment facility is going as quickly as it possibly can. And, this is also part, I guess I want to keep working on the wetland stuff and the shallow well stuff, because we just have to have a lot of options.
Mhm.
And if something happens to well 6, it doesn't matter if we have a treatment plant for it or not.
Well, we still need those wells to be viable.
Yeah, we do, because we have to blend them
Right.
too,
Yep.
even after well
Yep.
6 treatment facilities done.
Yeah, it's a good job.
So thank you.
So the agenda item asks for approval. Do I have a motion to approve entering into this contract?
I make a motion to approve entering a contract for the Iowa DNR wetland grant.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. Agenda item number 15, discuss for possible approval using TIF cash on hand to pay a portion of the 2016 A bonds off early, thus saving interest expense. Sandy.
So, Steve and I had a conference call, first with Dorsey and Whitney, and then, they sent us to Heidi regarding TIF, not necessarily specifically this, but while we were talking to her, we mentioned that we kind of have this fund balance, only because, maybe Steve can address it better than I can, but because we have collected maximum TIF all of the years that we can. You can still only collect so much, but you can collect it at any time and then like sit on it until it's time to use it. You can't collect more than you owe. But since we already there was construction in that area, it allowed us to collect TIF more rapidly than we had necessarily expected that we'd be able to. And we kept collecting maximum. So we have this money kind of sitting there just waiting for its turn to be spent. And when Heidi heard that, she's kind of like, is there a reason you just, hanging out with it? And it's like, no, because sometimes you have bonds that you can't pay early without penalty. And so she looked into it for us and said, there is not a problem. We've passed that point. There was a point where we couldn't do that, but we're past that point. So we can use that money and pay off some of the bond early. So she ran the scenario that's in your packet and showed that if we go ahead and do that, we could save just a little over $14,000 on the balance of what we owe for interest. Seemed like kind of a no-brainer to me, but wanted to see what you guys thought. If it's okay to proceed.
The only thought in mind is the coupon rates on those grants was only 1.17. You're not going to get that on future grants.
But I can't lose the money for anything else.
We can't use, because you keep talking about using TIF money for water fields and things down the road. Are we going to recoup and gain TIF money back quickly, or is this money that we shouldn't be spending
That's a great question.
on this when we may need it down the road, if we're going to have to apply this money toward the water treatment plant or toward something else? Because you talk about TIF on projects quite often, so
Sure.
I never know where we're going to earmark that money.
Well, that's already been set for us by each individual TIF district and economic development plan in the economic development zone. So this TIF district is part of an economic development zone that we established back when this TIF district was set forth. Similarly to when we had the TIF district out in the Northeast area, that's that economic development zone. So it would be nice to be able to do whatever we wanted to it, but as it is one of the only economic development tools we have, they make us kind of make sure we have a plan, work our plan our work, how we're going to look at it. So that can go out there. The reason that we were on the phone in the first place is because I would like to explore using TIF funding. I would like to set up a new TIF district, or amend the one that we have, or remove some parcels and put some back in. When Dollar General was trying to find a place to be, I really wanted them in our TIF district. Our TIF district is going to expire in a few years, and I know there's going to be some development in certain areas that I've heard about. So we talked about removing some of those because our valuation went up so high. I mean, it's not so high. It's $100,000 for the whole downtown area, which is better than nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So that has to be paid into, it has to be assigned to that debt. Any new TIF can be assigned to new debt. So, and I don't want to get too far ahead, but the plan is to use part of, because we don't need that development site to pay for this. I'm going to remove it out of this TIF. We don't need to generate even more TIF to pay it off even faster. I want to remove those as quickly as we can.
Okay.
Start a new TIF district and then really promote growth over here. And then it is more complicated than just borrowing a whole bunch of money from SRF or USDA, but the intention is, if we're able to do some of this, I don't know exactly what the rules are, but we'll be able to pay for something with that money that we get from that specific district.
Okay.
And
I just
it'll
wanted
take the
to talk
burden
through.
off.
I mean,
Yes.
paying out debt's always good.
Yes.
And you can do it. But I just wanted to talk through and.
You bet. We don't want to pay
that
off a
shell game, I
1.5
wasn't
to
quite
pay
sure where it goes.
6%.
Right.
Yeah.
Because then if you have to go back and borrow money again, then.
So what would happen if we didn't collect max TIF off of this is, so, you know, you have the base valuation, and then after the Main Street project, the base valuation went up. All of that money is the TIF district funding that we can use. If we decided not to collect the max amount, we would start releasing some of that to the county or to any of the other things that go to pay property tax. And instead of getting $100,000, we would get $12,000 a year when we release that. So I recommended that we just keep getting the max amount every time and then figuring out how we can invest that rather than losing I'm just kind of using some round numbers, but instead of losing 88,000, we're going to now, you know, if and when that the TIF district goes off, if we decide not to reinstate it or renew it, we'll have some more money hitting the general fund, but it's only going to be like $12,000, like I'm saying.
Yeah.
Whereas now we can get everything we need to pay off the debt plus $100,000 a year.
Okay.
I know it's
That helps
probably very confusing the way.
No, I just wanted it talked out.
Yep. I appreciate the question.
That's good.
So this is, a partial?
Yep.
A portion of the 2016 A bonds, what,
Yeah, because we don't want the bonds to be completely paid off until we get the whole rest of his plan worked out.
Yeah, we need a little elbow room to get all this
Because you can
orchestrated.
only collect as much as you need, and then when the debt is gone, you can't continue to collect TIF.
No.
You can only collect it against the debt.
Right.
So we don't want to have none, but it's okay to pay up and then just sit there and wait. That last piece just kinda sit there.
It is complicated. I mean, we're on the phone with Dorsey and they do this stuff all the time. And I'm like, here's what I'd like. I'm just asking, can we do this? And we had to go through it like 3 or 4 times and be like, okay,
We actually have a scheduled meeting with Amy,
yes,
right?
she
in
is.
York next week
Yeah, she's a whiz and
to
Heidi's a whiz.
Well, you have to
start the
rely.
next.
You have to
process
rely
for
on
the
people.
I just
next
have
step.
ideas and I need to
Yeah.
make sure they're going to
Yeah.
work.
Yep.
I don't want to come to them and they're like, this isn't going to work.
Well, because they saved us, they originally said it was 16 and ended up being a lot more than that on refinancing.
Yeah,
So-
I mean, Heidi's saved us
Yeah.
several $100,000 in our
Exactly.
relationship.
Okay. All right, I feel good. That's fine. I just wanted to make sure that we talked this out since we had thrown that TIF idea out a lot.
You'll hear more about it soon.
Okay.
It's a lot.
okay. So I needed a motion to approve doing this.
I'll make a motion to approve using TIF cash on hand to pay a portion of the 2016 A bond.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Hi.
Opposed? Passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank
thank you.
Agenda item number 16, city treasurer's report for August, city budget report for August, and the solar report. Sandy, are there high points that you want to address on this?
Not really, I guess I can talk to some of the negatives on the treasurer's report. You see a negative fund balance on that CDBG DR grant. It's just all timing. It really is pass-through money. It's just we paid them and we're waiting for the drawdown to come back. So that one will be fine. And the only other big negative on here that, well, 2 things. One, we did take care of the detention basin. That's just been folded into the sewer operating fund now, so we won't see the detention basin going forward. And although the garbage looks like it went, from small negative to big negative, the thing that always impacts that is we pay a quarterly bill to the landfill for head count. And the month it hits, it looks like it gets really big and then it works itself down. So I try and compare like to like and we're in better shape than we were a year ago, apples to apples. So it's moving in the right direction, albeit painfully slow. Pretty much the treasurer's report as far as the P&L. We would want, this is, 2 months, so it's like 16, almost 17% would be the goal. We brought in 23% of our budgeted income, so incomes are coming in at a reasonable pace. And expenses are hanging in there as well. There are a few areas that look high, although I try and remind myself, when you look at, the aquatic area, it always looks high because just timing, you only have it July, August, and then you don't have it September through April. And then you'll pick it up again in May. So by the time we get to April, it'll probably be looking good again. And when we hit May, it'll start to use up again. So try not to get too excited about that one looking like it's used a bunch already. Most of the other areas, even if they're a little bit to the high side, kind of like something that seemed to make sense at the time. It's either something we expected that we've already approved here, some expense that we hadn't originally planned on. It will be thrown into a budget amendment at some point. I just kind of try and save them up until we get a little closer to amendment time. There really is no department that just makes me go, what are you people doing? Spending ridiculous amounts of money. And as far as solar reports go, everybody showed some savings this month. Excuse me. Solar seems to be doing what it was intended to do.
Tis the season for it, I guess.
Yeah, a few more cloudy days, a little more chance to use up some of the paint.
Hopefully the rain washed some of the dust and grime off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard to keep those things clean when there's no rain.
Anybody have questions for me? Thank you. Kind of unrelated, but since I'm talking anyway, Gage wanted me to share, in addition to the fact that he wasn't going to be here tonight, he wanted me to share that he had submitted application for default on those 3 properties, the 2 Oak properties and the Carlson property. He mentioned that last time he was here. He wanted me to let you know that the 2 Oak properties have been awarded, that it comes with a 30-day appeal period, but it has been awarded. Although all 3 were submitted at exactly the same time, he has no idea why the Carlson property hasn't, still pending. So he doesn't know if there's something they're looking at, or if they just ran out of time, or somebody thought they'd go home for the weekend. He wasn't sure. But that one he still doesn't know, doesn't have any more information on yet. But the clock has started on the other 2.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good to know. Agenda item number 17, city administrators report, project updates.
All right. So the US Cellular possible location, I've walked some contractors through there. I'm waiting to hear back from them what their ideas are. We walked back through there with US Cellular, and their corporate people came down for a drop-in inspection, and I was going to meet with them over there, and they canceled on me at the last minute, but I expect they'll be wanting to come down and look at the space. I reached out, I'm in pretty close conversations with them, and I'm like, is there any other place that we could do this? I mean, go through and, you know, go through and look in the windows and look in the buildings again, to see if there was something in the private marketplace that would support it. Yeah, without us having to do a lot of reconstruction and build out in the building. I'm not trying to get cold feet or back out on it or anything. I just want to make sure that they are getting what they're looking for their store, and there aren't any other options. Also trying to figure out, you know, we don't have any numbers yet, so we're trying to figure out where they come in and how much they pay. And, you know, we had kicked around some ideas on, you know, with discussions with Kate on how much we would rent the space for, so that we could, you know, they would take over the utilities, and we could still have some operating capital to do maintenance and things there, and have, you know, start building a fund. That was with pretty much no work being done. So we'll just kind of have to see what they want, where the contractors shake out, and I'll just keep you guys informed as I get information. The medical building where the sleep center is, I think I told you all about that. They are moving out of there because they don't have a clientele there really anymore. And the eye doctor is moving out. But I have been talking with two other potential tenants that are excited to get it in there, and we're working through that, and they're trying to figure out where they could be at for rent and what size space they would need and access to what. There's a common lobby, and then I think the intention is to keep the purpose of the building towards health services, human services. So, you know, Miracle Ear is an example of one. It's not actually a doctor, it's a health service. One of the other interested parties is ASAC. So a lot of those places were here and they left with COVID. I'd like to bring them back in. So I'm trying to bring as many people to the table because we could have a lot of things down there. And that's what that building's for. And so that's stuff that I'm really trying hard to get pulled back in here. And as I speak with those people, I say, if you know anybody in, you know, some other field, you know, we can't have two Miracle Ear type things in there, but you might know someone that's into medical supplies or whatever. So we're definitely getting the vibe out through the grapevine. I don't want to get too far ahead of it because we still have active tenants in there, but I think if we can get a few people in there, that would be a positive step. Does anybody have any questions about that?
Nope.
So the well field, the wells are holding steady. They've came up a little bit in the last week. I have spent a decent amount of time the last couple weeks, and primarily this week, going over escalated citizen water questions. So when City Hall gets a call, Sandy, Ashley dispatch it to wherever it seems like it's the best fit for Nick. And unless they want to speak specifically with me, some people want to speak specifically with me, and that's fine. Because some of their questions are need to be worked through.
I thought you did a good job because, you know, social media was going a little crazy and people are jumping on the bandwagon and guessing what's going on instead of knowing or asking. And I think there's been enough other people in town that have kind of helped that, you know, if you have yellow water, if your water is dirty, you do need to call City Hall.
Yeah, I want to know.
That's
We wanna know.
That's the starting point, because, you know, it could mean a water main break somewhere. It could mean something else going wrong.
Absolutely.
And that if the city doesn't know about it, there's nothing they can do. We know the water is gonna have some issues until we can get this treatment plant going, but
Yeah, there's a number of things. It could be a valve that's not on all the way. It could be a valve that's seized. It could be any number of things, and definitely a leak.
Right.
And we have a lot of mains in town that are 4-inch, and most of the places that I'm seeing that have cloudy water or discolored water are in 4-inch lines because they don't have any settle room. When you have a bigger water main, the sediment drops to the bottom. And, you know, that's what leads me to believe maybe there's a valve issue. So there's like a pressure differential and it's
Right.
stirring things up.
And I think that's just kind of
We
the
just have to
educational
map that.
process to go through to have people understand the age of our water system, the issues that we have are getting addressed the best they can, but there's not a magic wand to make this all fix. That, you know, we've pledged, and you have, that the buck's not getting passed anymore, that this water system's gonna get worked on and fixed. And so that, I think, is the important, but I just wanted to compliment you because I thought you did a good job in explaining and also asking people if they have an issue to reach out to you.
And a lot of times I try to make my own post so that if I go to all the time of getting this information out there, that someone can't just delete it later. So if I comment on someone else's post and they decide to delete it, that information thread is evaporated.
Right.
But I just felt on some of these things, I really needed to intercede, like jump in there and elaborate a little bit and then bring it back to City Hall, keep bringing it back to
Yeah.
City Hall, because this is the nerve center of everything. And so there were
I
some
didn't
things
mean to
about,
interrupt you.
no, that's
So I just
okay.
wanted
I was going to talk
compliment
about
you
that.
on that.
And that's the thing, you know, I'll just give an example quickly. I don't want to go on to, I have a few things to go over, but you know, there was a water treatment company that was in town that told a citizen that our chlorine level was 5 milligrams per liter. That is astronomically higher than any, you know, it's like orders of magnitude higher than what we ever even introduce into the system. There's no way our chlorine could be that high, but it was like all over, like don't feed, you know, there's too much chlorine. And I went to the house and I said, may I come to your house? Can we look this over? And the company actually came down and I met with the son-in-law of the company. And I said, all right, let me see what you're doing and how you're getting these results. And it turned out that they had written down in their report, it was 0.5, not 5.0. And so that's a lot of difference. So things like that would be a DNR violation. It'd be a huge violation. And it would be, people would not be doing very well. It's way too much chlorine. Another person said that there was E. coli in the water, that they heard that from Robbie Hardware. I called Robbie Hardware and I was like, how would you guys be able to test if there was E. coli in the water? That you have to send a state certified operator has to collect that sample with a state certified sample bottle with certain chemicals in it, like sodium thiosulfate. And you have to collect it in a certain way. And then you have to send it to a state certified laboratory that day. And it is a, several day process. And Nick is great about he is on top of it. He's doing more testing than is required because we want to know what's going on. We want to know what the hardness level is at every quadrant or more in the chlorine levels. And those guys are just doing a great job of keeping everybody safe. Robbie said we would never, there's no way. And it was just a number of things. People have discolored water in their tub and their kid, they have to give their baby a bath. Like, that's not the way I want it. That's, until they take the step to report it, we can't jump on it. And there's a lot of things that we can do. one of the unfortunate things we can't do that would be a really quick fix is just go crack open some fire hydrants in the area and just bleed it off. We don't have that luxury right now. And, you know, when we get our water problems under better control, we're managing what we've got. We're doing the best we can with what we've got. But when we're able to flush everything out and filter the stuff, those things are going to go away. You know, don't pop up here and there, but it's not going to be like, but if someone's had a leak, a water problem, I'm saying this for like when people watch this later too. If someone has problems with their water for a month or 2 months, like I would say our average response time to a citizen calling in with a water complaint would probably be about 15 minutes to 2 hours. That's how quickly we act on. I mean, 2 hours would be a really long time. I mean, if it was in the middle of the night.
Right.
So that's a level of dedication that the Public Works team has to this, and it's their whole life revolves around it. So I want to give them major kudos for what they're going through. The survey has been completed and okayed by Nate and our engineer and KSZ Law. And the next step is actually the surveying company has already submitted that for record. So I'm excited about that. Once the crop comes out, Nate and I are going to go start stomping around with the guys as they're available. I took a field trip last week to Newton to the correctional facility to look at the Homes for Iowa program again. I originally went there in early 2020, I think, or late 2019, one of the two. And has that improved dramatically. It was a great program before. Now they've really got it figured out. They have in the process is a lot less convoluted. So you can buy a house from them, 1,000 square foot house, fully outfitted for $80,000. That's 2 bedroom, 1 bath. You can buy a 3 bedroom, 2 bath for $95,000 delivered. That's 1,200 square feet. You have to have a foundation to set it on when they come. They bring a semi and roll it off, and you know, they don't come with flooring. So you'd have to put carpeting in or the vinyl tiles or whatever kind of flooring you wanted besides OSB. But I crawled through them, under them, in and around them, all over again, and had a great tour and talk with the president of Homes for Iowa for probably an hour. And then I'm really impressed with that, and I would like to encourage citizens to do that and come find me if they want to know more. And also look up Homes for Iowa on the internet, and you'll learn a lot more about it. That same day, I met with Chad, the director of Poweshiek Water Association, in the morning, and toured their facility that's south of Tama, and looked. You know, we went through it, and he had a couple of technicians that walked me through it, and just like, how does it was just spotless in there. It was beautiful. And they told me, like, here's how we started, and then we did this, and then we did this, and then we did, you know, phased it out and grew. And we talked about, I didn't have time to go through the whole, like the well fields and everything, but I'm invited to do that anytime I want. And I may do that. And, you know, talk to them about really highly technical stuff and things to look out for, and their water management strategies and their, you know, long view, because that's the thing you have to think about is like, this stuff goes bad eventually, and we need to have a plan for that too. Yeah, that was great. That was a really nice day. And then I rounded off the day on my way home. I went to Grinnell Waterworks and discussed I know they're building, they're having a huge system upgrade that's going to be like $35 million. So I went and talked to some folks there and just learn from them about, because they're, you know, there's several steps ahead of us,
Yeah.
to say the least. our project isn't going to be anywhere near $35 million, but that, you know, I'm going to be keeping an eye on those guys and checking it and visiting and
You always learn something.
yeah, very good day for me. So the radio tower on top of City Hall got damaged, and it damaged again and again, and it's kind of difficult to work on top of City Hall. So as of today, Radio Communications is going to come out on possibly tomorrow and start working on that to they're going to take down the stuff that we don't need and put up new better technology on there. So I don't know if you ever noticed, we just have a big mast tower on there and it's kind of lean. And it's been a long road, and I believe insurance is going to take care of all of that. Is that correct, Sandy?
Yeah, I think we collected that quite some time ago.
Right. Yeah, we just been kind of waiting for so there's a lot of, high voltage power lines back there that they're going to have to work. We got to figure out how to get them up there with the equipment, because they have to get all the way to the top of the tower somehow. So we're going to have to figure out how to get them up there tomorrow or when they show up. And hopefully that'll help the chief out with his communications around town. I already talked about the Facebook thing, but if anybody sees anything on Facebook that has anything remotely to do with the city, streets, parks, anything, we want to be really good at customer service, and that's our top priority. Just please encourage them to call City Hall.
There was something about a tire on 8th.
He answered that tonight.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very, very good.
Thanks. Yeah, if you guys want to follow up on that one, that was a tough one.
That's fine.
Then it takes a long time to go through those, because a lot of, it's someone writes down 3 or 4 questions in their leading questions that they're not yes and no answers at all. So to be able to explain that to someone, I just have to do it the way I have to do it. I don't know how else to do it. So that hopefully other people will see the information and get something out of it too. That's all I have. Unless anybody has any other questions about anything or wants any updates on anything in it.
We're good. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve. Agenda item number 18, Mayor Pro Tem's report. Since we have Dave on the phone, I'll just let him handle that.
So you're guessing I'm still awake.
We're hoping.
I heard you clear your throat a few minutes ago.
I have surgery tomorrow to put another stent in. And then I'll be on soft foods. So I'll be on a clear liquid diet for a couple of days, and then soft foods after that. That takes me up to October 2nd, where I have the major surgery done. That's somewhere between 4 and 8 hours surgery, and in the hospital anywhere from 4 to 7 days. So basically scratch off the rest of this month for me getting out and about. Scratch off all of October. I hope to be back full time in City Hall by first part of November.
Do we need to bring you a gavel in the hospital, just to make you feel comfortable? You can rap the gavel when you need nurses.
No, I can always make a fist and pound it on it.
All right, there you go.
I'm also looking for a body double for him too, to stand in for pictures.
No, I just like to get to a point where I feel better.
Yeah,
No kidding.
hopefully that's coming.
Good
So
to,
that's my report.
good to hear your voice.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 19, correspondence none, 20 old business none, and 21 resident comments. Now we got a resident here.
No, I have nothing.
You're just here for the entertainment?
Great.
Okay,
That's good. See who else is gonna be here, nobody's here.
no problem with that.
No, I'm fine.
Thanks for coming.
So with
It's good to
that,
see you, Dan.
yeah. Agenda item number 22, adjournment. Need a motion?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Need a second?
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.